So the questions that I've received this moment is from Rod and from Michael, so I will give some answers to them, and then I have also written down a couple of questions of topics that are frequently asked, let's say, and that are probably difficulties to the new users. So I will just elaborate a little bit on them too. And then you can always ask questions whenever they pop up during my explanations, of course, so don't hesitate to interrupt me whenever there's something unclear or that something is maybe not so good explained. So I'll just switch now to the spreadsheet itself. So this is basically the spreadsheet like I am using it right now. It's actually the one that I use for my trades, as you can see. So maybe the first question that that was asked was regarding the utility, let's say, of making a cash deposit. Well, you need to know that actually when I started creating the spreadsheet, I initially created a spreadsheet that was only had only one purpose, being just tracking the different trades that I made. That spreadsheet is no longer available because I created a completely integrated one with another spreadsheet that I actually created at the same time, which was a spreadsheet dedicated to the wheel strategy. And at a certain moment in time, of course, I tried to combine both the benefits of both spreadsheets into one integrated spreadsheet, which has become then the spreadsheet that I'm using right now, the All-In Options Trading Journal, like I call it. And actually, the idea of having the possibility to enter a cash deposit, let's say, into the spreadsheet was coming actually from the wheel strategy spreadsheet. Because of course, if you, for example, want to track wheel strategy that you would like to apply on a specific stock, you could say, for example, okay, in my account, I will reserve a certain amount of cash specifically for turning the wheel, let's say, around that stock. And that's why I also thought it was interesting to see that there is a cash deposit possible. And if you now, for example, go to, I just entered here like a demo version where I actually made the deposit. So here in this spreadsheet, let's say that I created this morning, I just created a cash account, let's say with 25,000 euros in cash. I added also the max allocation and the max percentage per trade with one trader. And in the journal, I've created three simple transactions. First of all, a cash deposit, which is of course then a credit of 25,000. And I've simulated here two activities, buying 100 shares of a stock and selling at the same time a covered call against it. I indicated here that those three transactions were actually part of the wheel strategy. And if you go now to the wheel strategy report, and each time that you indicate here, let's say that it's part of a wheel strategy, you can, of course, give it a specific wheel ID here on which you can select then in the wheel strategy report, okay, which I did not here right now. Within drop down, you can find the wheel ID for that specific stock. And those transactions that are in the journal, and once that you have thousands of transactions, they are filtered out automatically and put here in that history transactions for that specific wheel ID. And as you can see, I've created here also for that specific cash amount, an idea about the cash balance that you are still available for eventually adding trades or buying maybe more stock for that specific stock in that wheel strategy. And that is actually the idea why I've created the possibility to do a deposit of cash. Okay, Michael, I hope that that's a little bit clear where that option comes from. In general, also the spreadsheet, the intent of the spreadsheet is not to track on the cent or on the dollar the exact amount of, let's say, an account that you have. That's absolutely not the aim of the spreadsheet. The aim basically was that to create like a tracking journal where I can actually do the follow-up of the trades that I did with the different parameters, and that would allow me also to have like a review of the strategies that were applied and that I executed in the past in order to improve, of course, and to see where it went well, where it went wrong, and so on. The second question that I have, and I go just so the second question here is, yes, how to import data from an older version into the new spreadsheet. So I just go back here to, let's say I have a demo version here. There you go. So this is the spreadsheet that I'm using right now, and as you can see, I have around 784 lines filled with data. Those are not all visible because what I actually do here on this side, I have a filter on the position status here on the right hand side. So I've created a freeze line up till here. So this is data that I will always see. And of course, I have it now for the presentation on 125%, but if I make it a little bit smaller, as you can see here, I have more visibility on the data. It also depends a little bit on how large your screen is. I work with the second screen to make it more handy, let's say, to look at data and to enter data. So actually, I filter here on the position status, and I have only the blanks and open selected, so that when I filter, I see only the trades that are still open. Well, it's of course it's useful in the sense that you do not, whenever you open the spreadsheet, you don't have to scroll all the way down because that takes time. That's a little bit annoying too. So I always filter here, and now of course if you want to copy the whole block, let's say, of data that you have in the old version, let's say, of the spreadsheet, you need, of course, first of all to select all, so that you can, whenever you are selecting rows from the whole of the spreadsheet, like it's here, and I will just switch it a little bit to 90% to make it a little bit more visible whenever I'm copying. So you have what you actually need to do when you are copying blocks of data from a previous spreadsheet to the new spreadsheet. You have to look, okay, what is the data that I need to enter into the new spreadsheet? So I go to the journal here, and as I explained maybe in a few videos, the fields that are actually marked in blue are calculated fields. So you must absolutely avoid to copy over them, because first of all, you have fields have formulas in them, of course, and some of the fields also have conditional formatting linked to them. So those are, if you want, of course, keep those functionalities, you need to copy it in the right sense, let's say. So, but normally all the fields, like from the C column up to, let's say, the L column, are just data fields. So those are selected, are typed in. So those have no, let's say, no formulas behind them, and so on. So what I actually then do, if I need to copy a large block of rows, let's say, I do that in 3 times. In 3 times, why? Because I will always go from left to right. So from the C column to the L column, then that's one block that I will copy, and I will demonstrate it just in a minute. From the N November column up to the whiskey column, it's a second block. Then I have 3 blues, which I have to avoid. And then I have in the current parameters from the alpha alpha column to the alpha delta column, the third block. And then, yeah, a fourth and a fifth block from alpha Juliet until alpha papa column. The gray columns there I need to fill too. And also, if that's required, I can also copy the notes separately. So I'll just demonstrate that here with a copy from my initial file. So I actually will select from here up to, and I will just go back until the credit. And then I will go all the way down until my last row, and I will select it here. So what I actually selected now is the C columns till the L columns of all the rows that have some data in them. And I will just select copy. I will go to the second tab to the other, let's say the newer version of the spreadsheet. And I will position, of course, on the left top normally in the first row, let's say, but I will start here on the fourth. I will keep the first 3. And then I actually will paste and I will do values only. Okay, so when I do values only, as you can see, the first block of data is pasted into the new spreadsheet. And I will repeat actually the same. You have now, of course, the color um, red popping up because of the conditional formatting, which says, okay, these fields need to be filled in because some data is missing here. But I will do that then also for the, let's say and I will just go back, okay, between the two blues, we'll go back up to the first row that I need to copy. From here until, let me quickly see, management required BPR. Okay, that's up till here. And then I will go back down. Last row, and I select this block. No, that's one too much. Until here, you can see I was in the blue. That's something you need to avoid. I do copy again. I go to the next, to the spreadsheet. I put myself in the correct field, and I do paste value again. And as you can see, the data is pasted in. That you need to repeat, of course, for the different data fields which are in gray, but which are not part of the blue calculated fields. Is that more or less clear what I? Yeah, you need indeed to have enough lines available also, of course, in the spreadsheet if you want to copy. So in this way, you can, let's say, in 5 or 6 steps, copy all your data in a quite easy way, let's say, into the new spreadsheet. I've preferred to keep it this way and to not make it too complicated to transfer data from one spreadsheet to another, because I think it's quite easy to do it in a couple of steps. Another. Okay, so other questions that I've frequently have received by mail or in the chat in the Discord is how adding a ticker and also a ticker from a foreign exchange. So if I just go quickly to the tickers which are in the backend stock data. So in the backend stock data, which is the tab sheet where all the tickers are put and where they are searched or fetched, let's say, in the drop-down fields that I use in the journal. So whenever you want to take or add another ticker, well, it's quite important, let's say, in order to avoid that there is a conflict in the alphabetical sorting, let's say, of the tickers in the drop-down field in the journal, that you avoid to delete, let's say, rows in this tab sheet. Otherwise, the automatic sort will fail, and okay, it can always be fixed, but it's to be avoided. So what you actually do is whenever you have a ticker that you want to trade and it's not in this list, I'm not sure that which stock it is, AAA, but just let's enter it. So it's well, it's an ETF, and it will fetch it automatically in Google Sheets. As you can see here, it goes to Google Sheets and fetch actually the ticker symbol that you enter in the first row. Okay. Now, whenever you want to use, for example, a ticker that is trading on a foreign exchange, like this one, for example, and this one above too. What you actually need to do here in this column is to add also the abbreviation of the exchange, semicolon, and then the ticker symbol. And then it will fetch the correct price in, of course, in the currency of that exchange for that ticker of that in that exchange. And then it will populate also here. And if you then go back to the journal, ISX, let's say BHP, you can see that you find them here. And that's the way that you can simply add tickers to the different from the different exchanges. Another question that I receive regularly is, let me switch back, other currencies. Okay, other currencies, because indeed, if you go to the results report tab, so here in the, like I was saying, in the account tab, you have here in the top, you can select the main reporting currency, which I've here selected United States dollars, but you can select a few of them, the ones that I've added to in the backend data. But for the moment, actually, like I said, there is no impact of this selection in the spreadsheet. I'm planning to do that, to have, like, say, a main reporting currency in the results reporting. But for the moment, that's not an impact. However, if you want to add something, if you want to change it quite easily also, I will add a lot of currencies in the future when I will start um, changing the spreadsheet that it has an impact in the reporting. But you can, for example, if you want to change it, you can quite easily go to the backend data, and you can, on the right-hand side here, change the different currencies. I fetch the exchange rates based on the, the exchange rate of the two currencies in Google Finance. Okay, and that are actually then the exchange rates that I will use later on in the reporting whenever I have, for example, multiple accounts with multiple currencies. Some of us do, most of us don't, I expect. Let's say addressed. Let's go back a little bit to the other questions. Well, another question that I received quite regularly also, and I don't know if you are trading futures, but I had some people interested in using the spreadsheet also for trading futures. And I've traded some futures myself, but when you start combining futures in specific strategies, and as you know, specific futures have other quantities on an option than the normal standard 100 shares linked to one option, it becomes quite difficult to keep correct in the correct sense track of the future. So my advice to them is, for the moment, I would not advise to use the spreadsheet also to track futures, because it becomes a little bit difficult to do that in the correct sense, because you need to understand the underlying formulas and so on, and you could maybe left and right change some formulas, but that makes it too difficult. And I have promised to those people who are interested in trading futures and to have like a similar spreadsheet like the one that I use for options, to develop one specifically for futures. That's something that I will work on in a couple of months, I guess. That's a project that I still need to start, although that I think that most of the functionalities that I have in the spreadsheet right now, I can just copy them, and I need to just adjust some formulas, let's say, to apply the spreadsheet also for futures. So that's how I look at it for the moment. Okay, so let's round up here the part of the questions. Are there any specific questions that you would like to ask me at this moment? Okay, so what you can actually quite simply do is, because this you mean the overview currently open positions, eh? That's correct. That's correct. Yeah. So I have now here 17 positions. I don't know how many that are actually in the spreadsheet in the download, but you can quite easily, because there are no calculated fields actually here. Um, the only information, um, the only formula, let's say, that is populating all these data that's right here in the blue is all coming from one field, and that's the field on the top left. So what you can actually quite easily do is you can insert, let's like I'm doing here right now, um, a number of columns, a number of rows, let's say, just above here. And if you have more fields that are fetched, let's say, through that formula, they will just populate more to the downside. Okay. Yeah, the only field that has a formula is right here. Yeah, so you can quite easily make this part larger. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Do we have another specific question? You mean in the ticker column that there is like a red triangle here? Yeah, and that's actually like I've just showed you when I copied, and just I'm going to do that again. So what I did here was just going to demonstrate it, because here, for example, you see that's invalid, and that's probably because this ticker is not in my list of tickers. So CCIV, I will just go back. What actually happens is the drop down here goes to the back end stock data and fetches the ticker symbol that is available here. And as you can see, the CCIV ticker symbol is not available here in this list. So he doesn't, he says, okay, it's not available in this list. It's a data validation check that he. Okay, do you have another question? Yeah. So assignments, I've changed that indeed, the way that it's handled. Let me give an example. The short naked put 9, 9 strike that I've rolled a couple of times. As you can see, I will just maybe make it a little bit smaller. Is that still visible for you? Yeah, okay. So that was the 9 strike put that I've opened, well, last year, by the end of last year. I've rolled the stock, as you can see here, twice. And finally, I got assigned not that long ago. You see, in the beginning of April, I got assigned. So I sold initially the stock, no, the option, the 9 put, and it was for 77 cents. So I've rolled it twice, and then, well, I've rolled it the first time, let's say for a break even, so I didn't receive any extra credit. As you can see here, I didn't add any credit extra received, so it was really on a zero transaction. And the second time I've rolled it further out in time, and I've received 2 cents credit. And that's actually why I received in total 79 cents credit for that specific option that I've rolled 2 times. And then I got assigned. That meant that I had to buy the stock at $9. And now is of course the question, how do I enter that into the spreadsheet? And because, and the philosophy behind it is because I want to avoid to have, like, say, a losing option, which actually where I was assigned, to avoid it that it's put into the spreadsheet as being a successful positive net profit transaction. I wanted to avoid that. That's why I preferred the way that I've constructed the spreadsheet right now, being that whenever I get assigned, I will close that row. So whenever you have a row that you select with the position status assign here, and you in the transaction type, the closing parameter transaction type, you also get assigned. And if I go further to the right, as you can see, there is no net P&L calculated. That means that actually there is no impact of that specific closing um, uh, transaction, let's say, on your net results. Um, like it is the same thing like for a roll. A rolling position is the same thing. So whenever I roll a position, what I do is, okay, my initial credit or credit received if I'm selling options, if I roll that, I see, okay, do I pay a debit or do I receive an extra credit whenever I'm rolling? And then I adjust like I did to for example, when I rolled further out in time, I've received here a 2 cent credit. I have adjusted the transaction price from 70 cents to 79 cents. So there is no impact, let's say, also to the net P&L of that roll as such, because I'm opening a new position with a new credit of 79 cents. The same thing applies here for being assigned. Whenever I'm assigned, I want to avoid that it's mentioned as, okay, this is a successful option transaction that I've done. So I will not calculate any net P&L. But of course, the credit that I have received, I need to take that into account in the new transaction price when I'm buying the shares. So I had to buy here the the $9 strike share price, and I've deducted, as you can see here, the 79 cents. So my initial uh, stock price of buying the 100 shares was $8.21. And in that sense, I adapt actually the way that my share price, I adapted to the credit I received before. Okay. And then okay, I'm assigned, and then I have the shares at that specific price, and I can continue from there. Okay, any other question? Then what I suggest to do, because time is flying, and yeah, we're almost 45 minutes in the Q&A session here. Maybe what I want to do right now is to continue with the next step, and that was showing the latest developments, just to give you an idea what I'm working on, and maybe to see to have also some input from you. So what I've basically been doing is in the results report, I will add, and that's something that I've already showed a screenshot. In the results report, of course, interesting to have, okay, month by month, the results with the parameters and some figures that give you an idea how you are doing, and also the overview of the currently open positions. But to have maybe also to have an idea about what kind of stocks are performing best, what are your worst rates, what are your best strategies, and so on, and to make that also a little bit visual. And then that's why I've added here, let's say, the best 10 stock trade performances. And that's cumulative, of course, for specific stocks. Okay, which stocks earned me the most of money or were most beneficial point of view of option trades, closed trades, let's say. And then the strategy performance of the closed options only. Okay, so in my case, I've been most successful with puts and strangles, and then so on further on, as you can see. And then maybe also here a visual with the most used strategies. So in my case, okay, I've been most profitable, let's say, also in the puts and in the strangles, because those were also the two strategies that I've used the most, as you can see here in this graphic. And then the open strategies with the number of winners in quantity and also in percentage. I think that's a value to give you also an idea on either the strategy or the stocks which were the best or the worst performing for your trading. I can for the moment there are no filters in it yet. Um, I'm going to see if that's possible. It's absolutely possible because I've did it also here with these calculated results. I will just show you what I think will be the way that I would like to have it, and I have it here in this tab. So instead, actually, I've enlarged a little bit the top row, which was here in the left block here. I've enlarged a little bit here. As you can see, I added, of course, the select main reporting currency. Um, I have, for example, a couple of accounts with different currencies. So I have euros and I have also dollars. And of course, the exchange rate implicates on the total value of the main reporting currency. So those are all parameters that we need to take into account if you want, for example, in my case, if I want to follow my evolution of my different accounts in euro and I want to have a good idea in euro, well, then I need to take, of course, into account the exchange rate of the dollar, the net lick each time adapted to the changed exchange rate and so on. And I've adjusted it, the table, a little bit that I have, of course, now here a nice view of what my total of my different accounts is. I have also added here on the right hand side another part of that presentation, let's say, where I have also the portfolio data in the main currency and also the delta in the main currency calculated. This allows me to have like a delta theta ratio here calculated here on the top in my main reporting currency. Well, it's in my eyes it's like a real good improvement, and also parameters that I am tracking to keep track of, okay, how am I doing with my portfolio? Do I have too much delta? Do I need maybe to add extra data and maybe adjust my deltas a little bit? Those are all parameters that I'm tracking a little bit in the tasty trade sense, of course, and that's why I've added them here. Now, the largest change, let's say, in this way of reporting is that I avoid here on the right-hand side the periodic update block, and I've changed that here below to the part here below with in between, let's say, a graphic representation of how I am doing, and I will show you just that in a minute. I've added here an exchange rate update that I need to copy each time that I'm updating, because for example, like I've made the last update, and I'm just checking here to make a weekly report of my account, and every week I add, let's say, the status of the 3 different accounts that I have. So the last update was on Friday, the 3rd of yesterday, so the 3rd of May, with the net lick in the different currencies that I fetch from manually, from my broker account. And what I, of course, need to do is, okay, on the 3rd of May, what are the exchange rates? If my exchange rate, for example, is in, I don't know what, in British pounds, or you can see it automatically fetches it also here from Google Finance or Canadian dollar. This allows me to quickly copy that information and paste it into this table below. For example, United States dollars. So if I would add, for example, here now for the 10th of May, I add here my net leak value that I have 50,000, let's say. I'm just imagining to do that. And let's say the other one is 7,000. And this one is 3,600. So that's what I need to fetch in my broker account. I just also here add the different accounts it's talking about. And then what I need to do here, of course, need to do is to do the exchange rate. On euro, it's 1-on-1. And for my dollar accounts, what I need to do here is I will just copy an exchange rate, which is at this moment in time applicable. And I will paste the values like this, values only in, and then automatically it will calculate on that specific date my net liquidation value in my main reporting currency in that column. That's calculated. And then I can populate the rest of the data that I also fetch from my brokerage account, the portfolio data, for example. The SPY, when I ever want to compare how am I doing to an index, I use the SPY in this case. And what is so I track the value of the SPY for those different weeks, different dates, and I will use also that information here in my graphic. The SPY is one thing. I will also then, of course, calculate, okay, what is how is my net liquidation value changing, and what is the percentage of the SPY? How hard is the SPY changing in accordance to my initial value when I started tracking it? The same thing I do for my net liquidation total value and the change of that value. And those are parameters that I use then, of course, to make a graphical representation, which I think is going to be like this. With in yellow, the evolution of, and of course I've added here since the beginning of April, it's not that populated yet, but you can imagine if you do it for 1 year, you have like 52 weeks marked in this graph. Where I have here, let's say, the evolution of my net liquidation in the main currency calculated, where I can also see in comparison of my starting values, the change in net liquidation in percentage change and how I'm doing, and the same thing for the SPY. So I can actually see here the last couple of weeks I've been doing a little bit better than actually evolution in the SPY, and this can give me like an idea of how I'm actually performing in comparison, let's say, with a specific index, which is in my case then the SPY that I would suggest to have here. I'm finishing up on this part, let's say, of these this development or update, and I suppose in the coming weeks maybe I will update the downloads in that sense. Okay, so thank you for that information and that input. So we are five behind the hour or after the hour. So I would suggest that we will round up here. Are there any other specific questions that you have for me at this moment? Okay, thanks for that feedback. I must say that I get a lot of good feedback on the spreadsheet in the sense that it fits it fits also into the way that a lot of people are apparently trading their options, and I'm happy of course, to hear that. Okay, if there are no other specific questions, I would suggest that we will finish off here. And I want, of course, to thank you. I find it interesting to engage with you, just to hear your feedback and your questions that you are having, and like you gave some relevant and valuable information to me too, so I can work in the right direction and make the spreadsheet more usable. So thank you for that, and well, we'll stop here. Yeah, yeah. Good evening, and bye.